I would like to say hi to everybody. Happy to have you here for this webinar. This is going to be a very impactful webinar. We're going to unpack a lot for you here. Like I said, Jamie Sheehan, she's our Director of Marketing. She's here to help me monitor all that's happening. We actually had a few people that want to be panelists so they can ask questions. If you want to be a panelist so you can ask questions live, feel free, just raise your hand. Jamie will add you as a panelist so you can ask any questions that you want, or you can also type them in. If you don't want to be one of the panelists, you could type them into Jamie or to all, and she will make sure that I have them so I can answer them live. So great to have you here. We're going to be unpacking how to set up your internet marketing plan for 2021. So let's start. Okay. First, what I would like all of you all to do is head to this link right here. Jamie, if you'll add that into the chat. That's the link right there. And we'll be heading over that as we go through the presentation. So what are we going to talk about? So we're going to set your goals for 2021 and help you set where you want to be at the end of next year. We're going to talk about the 3 fundamentals of marketing success. We're going to look at how to optimize your website, which is your hub. We're going to look at the big picture and what are the marketing channels that you need to be looking at for next year. We're going to look at the latest trends that will be happening in 2021 that have started to happen now, but will be going into next year. And then at the end, we're going to develop your action plan. All right. So I ask that over the next hour or so that you turn off your cell phone or you mute it and turn off Facebook so we can focus in, because we're going to roll our sleeves up and we're going to get busy on your plan for next year. All right. And like I said, ask any questions. So if you stay to the end, I actually have some treats for you. So we have video marketing mistakes that people make, so you can avoid those. Digital marketing trends, we're going to talk about 3 of them, but you'll be able to see what all 5 of them are for next year. And then what are the most commonly searched keywords in the industry in remodeling and interior design as well. So we're going to be talking about what are the main keywords that you can use for SEO and for PPC. Okay. Now, why are you here and why are you listening to me? So just a little about me. You have to bear with me. I'm not one to really talk about myself, but there's a few people on here that may not know who I am. So I'm actually the owner of Kitchen and Bath Marketing Solutions. We've been at this for over 7 years now. We are digital marketing. My background is in architecture. So I've dealt with architecture, interior design for over 20 years. Worked on projects that have price tags over $20 million. I've taught in the School of Architecture and in the School of Interior Design at LSU and at Southern University. So I know the industry very well, and I actually know marketing, and I have a team behind me that knows marketing very well, that has over 20 years experience in digital marketing. And I also wrote a book. We're members of the National Kitchen and Bath Association, and I'm also a sales and marketing specialist. And we're also a CEU provider for the NKBA as well. And I've also spoken at the AIA, the American Institute of Architects, the American Society of Interior Designers, and at the National Kitchen and Bath Association. So I actually know what I'm talking about. So I just wanted to have that so you know that I'm just not your regular digital marketer, but I actually know the industry and I know marketing, okay? And we also have clients across the U.S. We've been at this, like I said, since 2013, and we have clients, across the U.S. in remodeling, interior design, and also residential architects. So a lot of this information that I'm going to share today, I prepared with my team from a lot of the experience we've had with our own clients. So it's not just me talking about what, the trends are, what's happening. We're actually bringing you information that is happening in the field right now. And this same exercise that we're going to go over now is the same exercise we do with our own clients at the end of every year. Okay. And like I said, this is what we do. Our main goal is to triple the sales of over 1,000 design and remodeling companies. And so that's what our mission is. And we're all about helping. This year, we developed our resource library. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but that has really helped us to give back to the community. And so that's just a little bit about that. And so I'm going to open it up. What is the hardest part of marketing for your interior design business or your remodeling business? So I'm going to open it up right now to see if anybody has any questions on that or anybody has any comments that they want to say there. We have a question here, or we have a comment here that knowing what to market. Yep, we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk, about what to market. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And let me see, we have another one. We have attracting the ideal customer. Yep, we're going to talk about that as well. Thank you for that, Neil. And I actually had a private one here that said not knowing what to actually have on social media. We're going to talk about that as well. Okay. All right, good deal. And let me see if there's anybody else. Just starting off, feel like have to promote, nothing to promote. Okay, all right. We'll address a little bit of that towards the end as well. Okay, all right, good deal. And making time to market, that's very true. Very true, Peggy, very true. Okay, so let's get started. So hopefully you downloaded the book. I'm gonna re-add that in the chat so you can download that, because we're gonna go from that. This is it here. It's actually a 22-page, and then we're gonna go over it and highlight a lot of things in there. So one of the comments we had that there are so many options out there in terms of marketing. A lot of people don't know where to start and unclear what to do, how to organize your time. Very true. SEO, PPC, website, social media, there's a lot out there. And then it can also be a major investment, because whether you're doing it on your own or whether you're hiring it out, marketing can be a major, investment. And if you aren't for sure what to do, you may not get the same or the right ROI that you're looking for. And so in all of that, with spending the money, there being a lot of options, not knowing what to do, you can either overspend or you can underspend and underperform. So that is one of the purposes of this, is for us to help you develop that plan for next year. And there's a great opportunity out there with all that has happened this year. And one of the industries that has not been hit as hard is the real estate industry. In certain markets, real estate is booming. And so housing and remodeling has been projected to be a great opportunity for next year, for 2021. So this is the time to really map out that plan and see what you're going to be doing for next year. And it's all about creating a clear plan and a goal for next year that has detailed targets and KPIs, key performance indicators, so you know what the goal is and what you want to hit, so you can generate the leads and hit that target. And when you set the target, you have the leads, you know who your client is, you can get that right return on investment, which we're all after that ROI. So we're here to have success, maximize lead flow, and hit the goal in 2021. So we're going to start here with setting up your goals for 2021. And Dave Ramsey said, go without a plan is a dream. And that's so true. We're here to set that plan, because if you don't have a plan, you're like this ship here in the water, not knowing where your destination is, and it's just a vast amount of ocean or sea. Where on the opposite end, once you have your goal set, you know where you're headed. So you can see in the background here, that's the destination where they're headed, and they're going there because they have set clear goals. And that's what we're here to do today. I had looked at a Harvard study where they interviewed graduates, and they interviewed a recent class where 84% of the class didn't have specific goals. 13% had goals, but they didn't write them down. And 3% had clear goals, wrote them down, and they had detailed plans on how to accomplish them. And the results were interesting. Of the 100 that they interviewed, 13% that had written down goals earned double what the other 84% earned. And then the 3% earned 10 times more than the other 97%. So what that's saying, have clear goals, write them down, have your plan of action, and know what you're going to do. Okay? So now we're going to talk about framework, which you want to do. You want to set the goals, write them down, have a goal for the year, for the quarter, for the month, and that helps you to set everything in place so you can reach all of that you want to do. What are the goals that you have for 2021? So if you look at in the workbook on page 4 and 5, we actually have in here some questions in here about what's the revenue target that you want to hit next year. And once you know what that revenue target is, on page 5 here, where we have this chart, then you can divide that by 12 and determine, okay, what does that equate to monthly? And then once you have that monthly goal, now you could say, okay, well, how many calls will that require for me to hit that goal? And so to determine that, what is your average transaction value? There's an example we have here. So this is a client that we did plan for 2021 with last week. And so we're using him as an example. He wanted to hit a goal of 2.5 million next year. And so that actually equates to roughly around 208,000 a month. And so his average transaction value for the remodeling that he does is actually 40,000. So that means he needs to have 5 new clients every month to actually reach that goal of hitting 2.5 million. Okay. And that's what you have here within this tracker sheet. And so once you have that, now we could talk about the conversion rate. Now you need to know how many people you need to talk to in order to hit that number. So the average conversion rate is in between 15 and 20%. That's the average. That's the average for most small businesses. Okay. If you're excellent, you may be in the 30 to 50% range. And then once you have that, then you can determine how many people you need to talk to in order to hit that goal. So for instance, we're going to use 30% because the client that we had got this from has a 30% closing rate. So that helped him determine that he needs to talk to 17 leads a month in order to hit the 5. So he could then hit his goal of earning 2.5 million next year. Okay. This chart right here on page 5 that we have filled out at the end, I'm going to show you how to access this, and we're going to talk about how to manipulate the numbers and change them and make them your own. And then there's some other things that we're going to talk about here at the end as well. So this is the goal that you want to set. So you can write this in your workbook and just have an overall goal. Okay, this is the amount I want to hit. That turns into the monthly revenue target. And then you have your average ticket value, whether that be in interior design. So it may be one of our clients, their average is about 8,000 because they also average in e-design because they do virtual design as well. So they average that in as well. So depending on what that is, that'll let you know how many new clients you need a month. And then you can look at your conversion rate to determine how many people you need to talk to. Okay. So we set the goals are for 2021 and how many leads we need for that year. So that's the start. Okay. So once we have that, once we have the goal, now we need to know how to get there and how to get the leads. So we need to develop our marketing message. And so if you turn to page 6 in the book, we talk about market, message, and media. The market is who are you targeting? If you don't know who you're targeting, you're missing the boat, because if you try to market to everyone, you're actually marketing to no one. So you need to define who that market is, and that's what we're going to talk about first. So who is your ideal client? So you'll see here on page 7, we have the the client avatar worksheet. So in there, what you want to do, you want to make a couple copies of this. And if you have different services, so if you are in the interior design remodeling, and if you do e-design, virtual design, if you do kitchen remodeling, if you do outdoor patios, whatever all of your services are, you want to do a different avatar for each one, because the end user or that avatar may be a little different for each of those. So you want to fill this out on the demographics and the general interests, pains and frustrations, fears and implications, goals and desires, and then the dreams and aspirations. So there's a few examples we have here from that same client that they had filled theirs out. And theirs was homeowner, 35 years of age, typically female, married with 2 kids, head of household. The average income was about $85,000 a year plus a year, family oriented, reliable, and on and on. Some of the pains they had was they were tired of the space and they needed to have it remodeled. They didn't have a fine style that they wanted to do, and they were not sure, and they needed some design help, or they needed some consultation there to decide on what they want to do from there, and too busy to do it themselves, worried that if left undone, that the space would be unhealthy for their family. So these are just a few ideas here, and then some other things with the goals and desires. They want to have a well-kept home, more income, more wealth, spend more time with family, travel more, and then some of years afraid of finding the wrong designer or remodeler for their job. And so we hear that a lot. Paying too much for something that they're not for sure if they like, having their home damaged by poor or faulty workmanship, and then not having a home or not having a space that they can get into after weeks of the remodel. These are just a few of the things. These may not all apply to you, but this is just some ideas to help you jog your memory and help you develop your own list for who your perfect avatar is. So once you have that perfect avatar, now you're able to see Jane Smith through Jane Smith eyes, and you can sell to Jane Smith and help her buy. Because once you understand who your ideal client avatar is, now you can craft your message to Jane Smith or your ideal client. So next we're going to get into message. So this is about crafting the message. So what is your message? Once you know who your avatar is, who your perfect client is, now you can start to craft the message that resonates with that end user or that ideal client. So this is just some questions we have here that's also in the workbook on page 9. So what actually differentiates you from your competition? What's your unique value proposition, your UVP, or they say USP, unique selling proposition, or unique value proposition? Ultimately, what sets you apart from your competition? And then what offers or what services do you have that can target your ideal client that will resonate with them? Once you know the client, that helps you out, because not only just crafting your message, but if you was to do ads, if you did Facebook ads, or if you did Google AdWords, anything like that, they ask for the interest of the end user on who you're trying to target, and that helps you maximize your ad speed. So understanding who your ideal client, who your client avatar is, helps you craft a message that will resonate with them and helps you maximize your ad speed. And these are just some examples here. Award-winning designer brings quality work on time, on budget, which in The design field is vital. Experience, trustworthy professional that caters to a variety of styles and budgets. From concept to installation, we help you achieve your dream home. So these are just a few examples that can help you craft. And then some other things here that you want to mention in that message is about you and your company. So how much experience you have, the quality of work that you do, that you're going to leave the home in a better place than when it's found. Because like I said, that's what we hear a lot about is, did I choose the right designer or remodeler? And also, how are they going to leave my home? What's the craftsmanship, workmanship going to be like? Financing is another thing. Some of the clients that we work with have financing available, and they do financing for their clients or for the prospects. So that's something, if you offer that, that's something that you want to promote. And great service, that cannot be said enough. Okay. So now that we went over the market, the who, the message, the what, now we're going to talk about the media, and that's how, and that's where you're going to drive them. So you want to make sure that your hub converts, and your hub is your website. That's the one property you own, because you may have a house website, you may have a Facebook business profile, you may have an Instagram business profile, but you don't own any of those properties. So if anything happens, or if Facebook changed their algorithm, or House changed what they do, and they shut your account down, the one hub that you want to make sure that you have, and that speaks to your message the most, is your website. That's where you want to drive most of your prospects, is to your website. So when looking at your website, you want to craft it in a way that it's set to convert. And so these are just some features here to make sure your website converts the right way. And so you want to make sure at the top that you have all of the pertinent information. You have the information on your business. You want to have your phone number. A lot of the times, a lot of business owners we see in the design realm, they have their phone number at the bottom. And they have all of these great images of the work that they did at the top. You have to remember, over 80% of search starts on a mobile device. So when an end user or a prospect looks at your website, if they want to contact you, you want to make it as easy as possible for them to reach out to you. So by having your phone number at the top, it's clickable. And so they can call you if they have a question. So you want to make sure the phone number and all this information that I'm talking about here is above the fold. And what above the fold means is that when they enter into your website, that's the area that they see before they have to scroll. So you want to make sure that all of the pertinent information, like I said, all of your contact information, phone number, you want to have a clear call to action, telling the end user or the prospect what you want them to do. So if you want them to sign up for, your webinar, if you want to have a consultation, if you want to have them contact you, whatever it is that your call to action is, you want to have that right at that above the fold area, right at the top. Okay. You want to have your social media links so they can reach out to you there. And you want to make sure that your site is mobile optimized. As I said, over 80% of search starts on a mobile device. And so if it's not mobile optimized, it will hurt you, because if somebody looks at your website and it's not easy to use, they're going to probably click off and look at the competition. So make sure that you have all these elements within your website. Okay. And this is just an example how they have all of the elements here. They have the phone number at the top, who they are, all this information here. This is the call to action. They have their social media links, and they have an authentic image here. Okay. So now just an overview of the website elements. You want to make sure that it speaks to your ideal client, to your client avatar. You want to make sure to have authentic images if possible. You as the owner or your team in these images, because people like to do business with others they know, like, and trust. The best way for them to get to know, like, and trust you is to see you and to do video. We're going to talk a little bit about that later on, but if you can have images of you with your team, that would be ideal. And then, having some type of video in there so they can get to know your personality, know how you are, so they can resonate and relate to you and your team. showcase reviews. Online reviews are great. So you want to showcase that on your site. You want to have a clear call to action, phone number, web forms, and then where I have the authority symbols, that's like BBB. If you're a member of AIA, if you're a member of ASID, NKBA, NARI, any of those symbols that helps the end user or the prospect know that you are trusted, okay? What you want to do, and this is on page 11, you want to, in your workbook, page 11, you want to look at your own website. You don't have to do it now, but you want to look on your own website and then see what are the elements that you may or may not have, and look at to see what do you need to add based on what we've been talking about, okay? And then you can write that here on page 11, all right? And then that's the action items that you want to do. So some of the takeaways, what did you learn? What did you notice? If there's anything anyone would like to share, because we're about halfway into the presentation. So we're on good time, because I want to try to get this done in an hour. So we are on good time now. So if anybody has any questions up to now in terms of the avatar, creating the client avatar, the message, your hub is the website. If you have any questions, you can ask those. One question we had through private chat is, what do they recommend? Honestly, there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of avenues you can go in terms of Weebly, Wix, WordPress. It's not so much on what you use, it's that you actually have it out, that you actually have a website. And it has all of the elements in there that can help convert visitors once they arrive. So what you use is not as vital, depending now if you have showroom and you're going to sell on your website, then there's some other aspects that you may want to talk about, because having an e-commerce site is a little different than having an informational website. And we could talk a little bit more about that if at the end, if that's a question. Let's see if there's any other question. All right, so let's move on. So now, once you have your website and all that in place, you want to make sure to track it. So you want to have call tracking in place. So that helps you determine what the average CPC is, cost per click, what that is. That helps you there. And you want to have a simple dashboard that has the KPIs, like I said, KPI, key performance indicators. And this is the dashboard we use with our own clients. But you want to make sure whatever you use, that you measure what you're doing, because what gets measured gets done. So at a minimum, you want to have Google Analytics, Google Search Console. Those are free tools that you can install on your website. If you don't know how, if you have your web developer, they can install that. It's a simple code that you put on the back end of your website to track all of the visitors that come into your website. So you want to make sure to track all that, because you want to know when visitors visit your website, you know where they're coming from and how they got to your website, because that can help you determine where you're spending your marketing dollars, what's working and what's not. So track what you're doing. So you want to make sure that that is trackable. So far what we went over, setting a clear goal for 2021 in terms of the income that you want to make. We had talked about the market, the message, and the media, how to optimize your website and track it, okay? So next, what are some key trends for 2021? All right. The first one we want to talk about is Google local services. Then we're going to talk about video. And then we're going to end with an all-inclusive approach to your marketing. So Google local services. I don't know if you've heard of this. This came out actually in 2018. Sporadically, it's not in all markets. It's still not in all markets, but they rolled it out in 2018. Then in 2019, it started to gain some traction. This year is doing well. Next year, they're going to really begin to roll it out in a lot of different markets. It's in a lot of major markets, but not all. We actually have a client in Los Angeles that is using it now, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how they're using it. But Google local services is Google's way of pay per lead service in lieu of like a House has their own pay-per-lead service. You have a home advisor, any of those types of services where you pay per lead. Because usually with Google Ads, you pay per click. So anytime somebody clicks on an ad, you pay for that click. That can get a lot of looky-loos, or you may have competitors clicking on that ad just to get your ad down for your ad spend for the day, just so they can get their ad up. And so there's a lot of bots for that as well. So this is Google's way of getting around a lot of all of that. So this is where you pay for the actual lead itself, okay? And this is how the leads look. So the ad is above everything else. It's above Google AdWords, it's above the maps, it's above the organic listing. And so you actually have the reviews there. You have the Google Guarantee badge, which I'm explaining about what that is in a minute. You have the service area. So that's the area that you serve, whether that's Los Angeles, Dallas, New York, Chicago, wherever that area is. You have the tracking number. Now this is a tracking number that you're going to get from Google, and they're going to forward it to your number. And then the hours of operation, okay? And so what actually happens here, you have to fill out an application, and Google is going to run a background check on the owner and any of the employees that are client facing, any of your employees that interact with the client. So if you go into a client's home, Google will run a background check on all of those employees and the owner, because they want to make sure none of the employees or the owner actually have a criminal history. And they're going to also look at insurance, what the insurance is in terms of the professional liability, that you have enough to cover the services that you offer. And they want to make sure that when they have the Google Guarantee badge, that they've actually vetted your company. And so that's why in the actual process takes about a month. The client we have in Los Angeles that went through this, it was about 3.5 weeks, and they did a background check on, it was a husband and wife owner, and they had 5 employees, and only 3 of them were actually client facing. So they did a background check on a husband and wife, and then the 3 employees, the office manager, and then one of the other assistants, they didn't have to because they were not client facing. So they did a background check on the 5, and it took honestly about 3.5 weeks. They had to submit their professional liability. They had to submit their license for the state, because they actually had a contractor's license, and they had their interior design license, and they also had an architectural license as well. So they had to submit all that, and they had to verify that their liability insurance and their professional liability insurance was enough for all of the services that they offer. And so, like I said, that takes about a month to happen. Once approved, you'll be one of the service providers that they'll list. And the average lead is anywhere in between $25 and $55. Now, this varies by market. Like I said, in California, it's on the higher end. In Los Angeles, so we've seen most of the leads in between $50 and $55. One of the other clients we have in Dallas, their leads was about $35 or $40 in that range. So it just depends on the area, on how much the leads are. What we've heard from our own clients is that it's a lower CPC cost over PPC, because we use this with PPC, because we do a lot of PPC with our own clients, but they've seen that it's a lower cost over that. Higher quality leads over Home Advisor. Some of the clients and some of the other people we referred this to that are not our clients have suggested that they get better leads than with Home Advisor. You still are going to have some price shoppers, but Google, like I said, they're going to have the number that they provide you, and then it's going to forward to your number. But what happens is that they do that because they can verify if it was a real lead. So like I said, the client we have in Los Angeles, they actually had people reach out to them that were looking for tree service, some that were looking for roofing repair, and they didn't do any of that. So we were able to call Google and said this was not a real lead, and they were able to listen to the call and verify it, and they were not charged for that. usually have a better ROI over some of the other pay-per-lead services. So the next steps, you want to talk to your account manager. So if you're one of our clients on the call or listening on the recording, talk to your account manager and they'll let you know the steps that you can go through to apply for this. Or you can also go to this link so you can sign up and see if it's in your area. Because like I said, it's in about 20 areas right now in some of the major metropolitan areas, not all. Next, you will be heading through your background check. They'll put the tracking on for your phone. And, you can leverage all of this so you can hopefully close a higher percentage of jobs. So going back to what we had talked about earlier on, setting your goals, you will have a higher quality lead, hopefully from this way. All right. So we actually did a 15-page guide on all of this, on how to apply, what areas it's in, and I'm going to show you how to get access to this at the end. All right. Video is huge right now. I don't know, it's one of the fastest growing mediums today. I would say the fastest. From 2018 to 2019, over 400% growth in video views. 2019 to 2020, it was in the thousands in terms of growth. So video is hot. If you're not using it in some way in your business, you're missing the ball. And you need to somehow incorporate that into what you do, okay? So some of the things we see from our own clients and from others that are using video, that are using it the wrong way, they don't have a defined story. You do not want to get on and do video and not know what you're going to talk about, not have a clear message, like what we went back to earlier, okay? Having a clear message on what you're going to talk about, okay? Targeting the wrong audience. Now, we just went through an exercise on developing your ideal client, your perfect avatar, so you shouldn't have this issue. You should be able to identify who your audience is and target that audience. So this shouldn't be an issue with you now. Creating long videos that are boring. Now, you can have a long video. Some of the best videos that our clients have done have been longer how-to videos. But if you do a how-to video, it's actually expected for it to be long because you're going to go over how do you do X, Y, Z. But if it's just talking about either a service you're offering or a tip or a design tip, you want to try to get to the point. You don't have to be too brief that you don't have value in the video, but at the same time, you don't want it to be extra long that you lose, people's attention as well also. And at the end of every video, and this is the same thing I had talked about on the website, have a clear call to action. One of the clients we had did excellent videos, and she didn't have a whole lot of results from the video. One of the small, simple tweak was adding a clear call to action. So at the end of every video, she would say, give us a call or reach out to us at XYZ number or whatever it was. From that one simple tweet, the next week, the results and the ROI started to jump. Because just by telling people what you want them to do, they will do it. If you have a great video, but you don't tell people what you want them to do, they'll be like, oh, that was great, but I don't know what to do next. And they'll just move on to the next video. But if they enjoyed the video and you say, call me, reach out to me, reach out for, a free consultation or whatever that call to action is, make sure you state that at the end of every video. And don't overdo the sales pitch. Make sure you do that 80-20 rule. 80% value, 20% self-promotion. And if you do that, you'll be in good hands, okay? And when you do a video, make sure that video only has one message. So you may have different services like we had talked about earlier. You may do kitchen remodel, bathroom remodel. You may do outdoor patios. You may do e-design, virtual design. Do not have a video that encompasses all of that. So do a video just on kitchen design, just on bathroom design, just on virtual design. So you have a clear message to your end user and then your call to action is simple, okay? Our resource library, we've done a lot of videos on video marketing and all that can help that you can access in our resource library. And also at the end of this, I'm going to show you how to get access to all the mistakes that others make that you do not want to make. Okay. Now, having an all-encompassing marketing message. This is what we recommend, especially for next year, because what we've seen over the last few years is just having one marketing method is not enough anymore. Just doing SEO or just doing social media or just doing email marketing is not enough. You have to be all encompassing. So you have to do a little bit of SEO, PPC, retargeting, online ads, referrals. So when you have your clients, hitting them up for referrals or email marketing that way. What we call our digital dominance method, having an all-encompassing approach. And there's a way that you can do a lot of this, which I'm going to touch on in just a minute. So now that we've hit on just about everything else, now we're going to build your plan. So if you look at in your workbook, this starts on page 14, where we have here where you have online digital marketing checklists. And so this is just a checklist that you could go through to say what you have now. And I'm going to emphasize here, even though I had talked about the digital dominance method, you want to really focus on about 3 things that you're going to do. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but you want to only focus on 3. This is the link here that you want to use. And so this is also in your workbook. So you could click on this now, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to share this with you now. When you head to this link, this is what we had talked about earlier on, the lead generation target, setting your goal. When you open up this link, you will not be able to edit it. So what you want to do, the first thing you want to do, you want to hit on File, make a copy. And then you want to make a copy of this in your own drive so you can edit it, because otherwise you won't be at everything I will show from here on out, you will not be able to do, because this is an uneditable file, because this is just a master copy where you can view it only, but you want to make a copy so everything I show you'll be able to do. Okay, so as I said, you want to hit on File, make a copy, and then you want to rename it. And then afterwards, everything I do from here on out, you'll be able to do. So here, this is the example I showed, like I went over with the client. So any of these numbers here, like he said, he wanted to reach 2.5 million. You could change yours if you said if you only wanted to hit 750,000. Okay, it'll automatically update all the numbers. So that'll mean your monthly, you only have to hit 62,000. If your average ticket is around 40,000, you only have to get 2 clients a month. If you had a closing rate of about 20%. Okay, so that's all that there. With the budget here now, this right here is on where you are now. So you could plug the numbers on where you are at the end of 2020. So for the client that I was actually referring to, he actually had revenue of $1 million. So that's where he was. And so what he was spending was actually 5% on marketing. That's what he was spending. I have a tip in here. In between 5 and 8% is your average marketing budget that you should spend per your revenue. So whatever your revenue is, you should spend in between 5 and 8% on marketing. If you are not, do that, because that's how you maintain where you are. If you want to grow, you want to be more aggressive in your marketing, we suggest, and what is suggested in the industry is in between 10 and 15%. And so that's why this number here was at 15%, and it'll automatically adjust the numbers here. So that equates to what the monthly is and what that average is. And so we have broke that down here based on averages. Now you can shift this on how you operate your business, but on average, 70% of that marketing should be on online advertising or online marketing. 20% should be on offline marketing. So that's print media, postcards, business cards, any of that type thing. And then 10% on repeat. So that's with your clients that you have now. So that's with the email newsletter. So if you was to have a nice newsletter that you send out. And so we actually break that down into the month, and this is all based on the numbers you have here. It breaks down to the month on what you should spend for offline, online, offline, and repeats. And then we broke it up here into how you should break up the online marketing. So with online marketing, we suggest that you spend 25% on SEO, search engine optimization, 50% on PPC and local service ads. So that's Google AdWords, Facebook ads, because what happens, that's your lead generator. That's where you get your lead generator, and that's where you should spend half your budget. And over time, as the SEO grows, you can lessen your PPC and ads in terms, because you don't have to spend as much on ads. As the SEO comes up and your organic listings and inbound leads increases, you can spend less on the outgoing ads. Okay. And then the display and retargeting ads, which I'll talk about, you spend about 5% on that and other. So that's on posting to social media and other avenues like that. Okay. And we broke all of that down based on the budget that you have here, and you'll have access to that. Like I said, you have access to all of this. And we also break all of that down by month. Okay. And what you should spend SEO, PPC, display, and retargeting ads. Okay. All right. So the next thing here, and this is just by lead source. I won't get into all of that, but this is just for typical lead source. These are averages. Now the averages fluctuate per market and per area. So this may not be in your area, but this was for the client we were using here. But you can update all of this. And if you don't know how to get this information, let us know. We'll be happy to help you with that. Now, marketing calendar. This is one of the things we get asked a lot by a lot of our clients is, how do I create my social media calendar for the month? So we've helped you out. So we developed here and have suggestions on what you can set out to do for email marketing, for SEO, and for PPC, and for your social media. So I'm gonna just hit on the PPC and the SEO first. If you remember at the start of the webinar, I said we're gonna hand you out at the end, because I'm almost done. I'm gonna hand you a guide that has all of the top keywords that you should be ranking for, or that you should use PPC for. So that's what you wanna use here for the PPC and for the SEO. So that's what you wanna plug in there, those keywords, because those are the most commonly searched keywords for the home remodel and the interior design industry. So that's that. So for the email and for social, what happens here is that we've laid out some suggestions on how you can lay out your whole year on how you get the content out over these months, because this is all in months. So this is January all the way through December. So as you know, the KBA's event, the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show, happens in February, towards the end of February, mid to late February. So in March, what we have here in email, you can send an email out about highlights from that show, what happened in the show. And then for your social media, now you can break that up into different posts about what happened in that event, but you can also tie that to any of the projects you're doing and just add in some content from that show. In May, that's home remodeling month. Here, you can do an email in May that heads out. It's your email newsletter that heads out that talks about home remodeling month. And you could tie that into what you're doing in the remodeling or the interior design, that ties into home remodeling month, whatever the theme is. And then here you can highlight tips from home remodeling month, how-to tips on lighting or flooring or furniture design, cabinetry, or anything like that. So these are just, and then we just laid out some other holidays and anything. So this helps you to lay out how you want to do your email for the month, and then how you can break up that email and then have different posts. Because what we like to tell our clients that do a lot of their own social media is, you want to create one piece of content that you can use on multiple platforms. So if you do like one long form blog that's 1,500 to 2,000 words, you can do a blog for the month. and you could break that blog up. So you may have part one of the blog for every other week. So if you was to do a blog every other week, you may do one long form blog, like I said, 1,500 to 2,000 words. Do half of it for the first 2 weeks, the other half the next 2 weeks. For your email, for that email newsletter, if you do once a month, you can have a highlight or a snippet of that blog where you highlight that in the newsletter, and then that tracks back to your blog. For your social media, you can still use that same blog. And then do highlights from the blog or posts or images or highlights from that, where those could be individual posts that then highlight back to that blog. And so that's one way that you can use that one long form content in multiple places. And that's the same thing we like to say about social media as well. We suggest you be on 2 or 3, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, or whatever, but you focus on only one. So if you was to focus on, say, Instagram, you would focus all your energy on Instagram, and then once you have that information created, now you curate that same content for the other platforms. And if you want more information on that, we could talk about that later. But this is just how you use this information here to help you. This is the start or foundation to help you move on from here. Okay. And then the last thing we had in here was just email marketing specials. So with the client we have here, like I said, they have their own showroom. So they have their own specials. So if you don't have your own showroom, if you partner with a showroom, you could talk about any deals that they have that you can then promote in your newsletter or on your social media, or you can meet with your contractors. They may have deals that they may have throughout the year with lighting or flooring or anything like that. So talk with some of the partnerships that you have to see if they have any deals that you can highlight on your side for marketing, and you could cross promote each other as well. And so that's what you can get access to here. So that's what's in there. That link you have access to, or so like I said, you want to look back, and this is on page in your workbook. This is on page 18. This is on page 18. So you want to look at 3 areas that you want to focus on, because I know I've went over a lot of information today, but you don't want to focus on everything. You want to focus on 3 areas. And then that's what you want to highlight here. And then what we went over today, we went over set your goals, we went over the 3 fundamentals of marketing success: market, media, message. We went over how to optimize your website, the big picture about tracking. We went over the latest trend for 2021. And then now we're on developing your action plan. So to get access to all of this, what you want to do, this can actually all be found on this site here. So go to our website and then type in 2021 reward, and all of this information here is available. So I'm going to show you how this looks. This is how reward. So this is how this looks. And then once you go here, what will be replaced here, I have recorded this video. Once we download the video and enhance it and do whatever we do, this is where the video will be. But you'll have access to all of the workbooks. Click on each of the tabs and you get access to the workbook, access to the worksheets. Like I said, with the Google Local Services guide, that's right here. So all of the links you need is right here on this link right there. Now, I know I've went over a lot. If you have any questions on any of this, feel free to reach out to us at the number on the screen, or you can schedule a session just to talk to us so we can go over this specifically for you and help you map out 2021. So I know this is a lot. So some takeaways. If we have anybody on here that has any questions about anything I went over, what did you notice? What would you like to share about what we've talked about today? Okay, so I'm opening it up for any question, anything that you'd like to share. Asking about the social media calendar, do they have access? Yes, you have access to that. If you head to, like I said, at our website /2021-reward, you'll have access to that. Just remember, hit on file, make a copy. when you open up the Google Doc, it's going to only be view only. It's going to be view only. So you have to make a copy of it on your own drive, and then you'll be able to edit. And then all the suggestions we had in there for social media was just our suggestions for you, but you could change and get that information. Okay. We have another question. Okay. I want to know if Google spins the lead to several companies at the same time. No, not at the same time. No. So what happened is that they'll direct them to because you're going to have a budget. So you're going to tell Google, and then like I said, everything I'm saying here is in that guide. But you're going to tell Google how much you want to spend per day. So say for instance, your leads are say they're about $25. Say you want to spend $200 a day, or you could say per week. Say I want to spend $200 per week. So they'll spread that out over the work week, over Monday through Friday, not Saturday and Sunday, but over Monday through Friday. And you also set the hours, your work hours, so they won't call outside of hours. So if you say 8 to 5, you won't get calls after 5, or you won't get calls before 8. So they'll spread out the 8 leads. If you said I'm gonna spend $200 a week, and the lead cost is actually $25 in your area, you'll get 8 leads out of that. And so they'll spread that out over the week. And so you may get 2 calls per day, and they'll direct the call to you first. So you have the first crack at that lead. Okay. Let me see, any other questions? Answering about starting off, what would you focus on if you were new? Focus on social media, because that is the least expensive of all the things I had talked about. Focus on social media and really build up your brand, and figure out exactly who your client avatar is. So go through that exercise, figure out your client avatar so you could define who that is. So when you develop your marketing message, you know who exactly you're talking to. And then as you develop that message, as you use social media, like I said, be on about 2 or 3, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, House, but focus on one. Use what you learn from the client avatar and the message. So when you craft in the post, you're crafting a message that will resonate with your ideal client avatar. So that's what I would focus on. And I would use video, because that's a way for you to also, differentiate yourself from everybody else, is to do video, and in the video, define that your unique value proposition, what makes you different from everybody else, okay? And then express that in a video, and then do other videos so they can know, like, and trust you. At the end of the day, people buy from others they know, like, and trust, and video is one of the best ways for them to get to know, like, and trust you. So if I was new at this, I'll go over the exercise first with the client avatar message, and then make sure you have your website up to date. If you want us to look at any of that, reach out to us, or schedule a call. We'll be happy to do that. But make sure your website is up to date. It hits most of the features that we had talked about, with the call to action, phone number at the top. Vital amongst everything else that is mobile optimized. That's main thing, because like I said, 80% of search starts on a mobile device. So make sure your website is mobile optimized. A lot of interior designers that we work with, they used to only have a house profile, and they said, well, we have a house profile, we have a Facebook business profile, so we don't have our own website. And what I would emphasize them, and what I would hand them an example of, is we worked with an interior designer years ago. This was about 2 years ago. One of her employees wrote something as a Facebook post that got their Facebook business profile banned. It got it shut down. It took her 4 months to get the profile back. And so, like I said, remember, when you're on these other platforms, you don't own that. You don't own your own message. So that's why I emphasize you want to have a house profile, Facebook business profile, and all these other profiles, but at the same time, you need to have your own website, because that's how you control your message. That's your hub where you want to drive everybody to. Okay. Question on, the digital dominance method. So that was honestly, that's what we do for our own clients, where we had SEO, PPC, social media. That's what we do for our own clients. We use the digital dominance method. And one of the trends, like I said, we've seen over the last few years is from others, because one of the things that we do every year, but we've done really heavily this year, is we've reached out to a lot of interior designers, remodelers, just to see what's happening in their businesses. And what we've heard a lot of this year is what has happened, and that's why I emphasize that, is that if you're only working on one marketing method, it's not working as well as it has in the past. So if you're only doing SEO, or if you're only doing PPC, or you're only doing email marketing, or you're only doing social media, what we've heard and what we've seen also is that just only using that one way over time doesn't have the same effect, because we're all about, and what we like to use and what we like to tell our clients, we like for our clients to be omnipresent. So we want our clients to be everywhere the end user might be. So some people may use social media that might not head to your website. Some people you may reach them on ads where you may not reach them in email. So by being everywhere, omnipresent, like the digital dominance method, you can meet them everywhere. Now, if you're doing marketing on your own, that's why I said only choose 2 or 3, because we know on your own you're not going to be able to do all this, because you have to run your business, but you have to market at the same time. But you want to pick 2 or 3 of the methods that will benefit you the best. And I just got asked the question, what would those 2 to 3 methods, I knew somebody was going to ask a question. So what would those 2 to 3 methods be if I was to start out? So if I was to choose 2 to 3 methods, like I said, one would be social media. One would be the social media. Next, even if you don't have your list yet, email marketing needs to be one. I'm telling you, email marketing is one of the best ways, and it's very cost effective, because you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on developing email. Honestly, if you spend 1 hour a month, that's it, 1 hour a month, you can create that email newsletter and then send it out. So if you've been in business for over a year, you already have a list, because you already have clients that you have now and that you have in the past that you could start that email list from. If you haven't been at this for a while, you can create a list by either getting a list, because as you know, the KBIS event is happening in February. There are providers out there that are selling lists to not the homeowners that's going to be at the event virtually. So you can get access to that list. And there's other ways. You could try Info USA, and there's a number of providers out there. If you want to have that list, I'll be happy to share. But there are a number of providers out there where you can get lists. And so you just want to get a list, but ultimately you want to build your own list of your own clients that have used your services that you can send your email newsletter out to. Because I'm going to just use this one example. We have a client here in Dallas that was doing email newsletters for about a year before she had brought us on about 3 years ago. And she was doing email newsletters and she stopped. She said it does not work. Email newsletters does not work. So I had talked to her. I said, why did you stop? She was like, because the email open rates were dropping. I was hearing from people, drop me off your list. This is nonsense. I don't want to use this. And so I said, let us take it over for a few months and see how it goes. So what we found out, where we say 80% value, 20% self-promotion, she did 80% self-promotion. It was about her projects. It was about the awards she won. You know, the projects she had in magazines, which is nice. But for the end user, a lot of times they don't care about what you have to offer them until they know you care. And so you need that 80% value. So we took over the newsletter. We did 80% value. And we were doing a lot of how-to tips. We were doing a lot of things about how to make your space look larger, how to brighten up your room, how to just how to, and it was a lot of tips. And in 3 months, her open rate doubled. 4 months, she started to add new people onto her list. And in 6 months, she had her first sale. And 6 months after that, every month after that, she had a new sale. And so what would end up happening is that it was not always from the person that got the newsletter, but it was from, they may have opened it up and had a neighbor that said, I like that, what you had talked about, or you had mentioned about this countertop here. My neighbor is looking for that same countertop, and then that turned into a sale. So it's not going to always be your end user that opens up the newsletter that say they want to buy, but it's staying top of mind. So if you mention something like a deal, like from either if you have a showroom or from one of the contractors that you work with, if there's a deal that either the person that opens the email or one of the homeowners they know is actually talking about that, you're top of mind, then that can turn into a sale. So email newsletters would be one, social media, video. Those would be the three. Please give the website again to download the workbook. Let me add that in chat. That is kbms.com/2021 reward. That's to actually download everything. The workbook, documents from Google Local Services, that's everything. All right. All right. I think I've answered most of the other questions. If anybody has anything else, I'll stay on for about 1 more minute. If not, I will let you all go for today. I appreciate everyone who came out to this. I had tried to hold this to an hour, 15 minutes. It went a little longer than that. Our main thing, we wanted to give you some real value leading into next year. So you actually have a plan of action to implement. So you have no excuses in terms of what you should post in terms of social media, because we handed you a content calendar to start with. Now you need to add on to that, but you actually have a foundation to build on. And so now you should have something that you can work with. We have a question about, are we taking new clients? We are in certain areas. Reach out to us, because once we work with a client in a certain area, we actually have exclusivity. We actually have a 15, 20-mile radius. And then we don't work with anybody else within that radius. So there are some markets that we are not working in. I don't want to name them, because I would have to check with Jamie to see what those markets are that are closed off. But reach out to us at this number here, or you can schedule a call and we can actually talk about that. KABMS.com/2021/2021-reward. Okay, so that's where you'll get everything there. The resource library, honestly, is information we put out on a weekly basis, because somebody asked about that. That is where we have articles. So we do articles on SEO, social media, digital marketing tips, and all of that stuff. We have FAQ in there. We have training videos. We have webinars, all of that. And we add to that every week. So if I was you and you're interested, bookmark that page, because we add to that page every week. So that's what's in the resource library. So the resource library is actually independent of this. This is more about developing your marketing plan for next year. Resource library is information on marketing that we implement and we help out always. We actually developed this because we were hearing from a lot of interior designers and remodelers that were having problems this year and they needed help. And this is our way of helping and giving back. All right, I think that is it. All right, so I appreciate all of you all that hung around even beyond all of the Q&A. And Jamie is saying thank you to all. Appreciate everybody that showed up, and we hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And this is to a great 2021. You have your foundation now. And like I said, if you need any of our help, feel free to reach out anytime. I'm gonna just show the number and reach out to us anytime. Like I said, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. This is to a great 2021. We're gonna kill it, all of us. We're gonna crush it in 2021. And when I say we, my whole team at Kitchen and Bath Marketing Solutions is here to help. Whether you work with us or not, we're here to get your questions answered and help you reach that next level in your business. thank you for being here for this webinar, and we hope to see and hear from you in the new year. Have a good day. All right. Happy holidays.